So I said tutorials are bad, but how are they bad? When are they bad? So a lot of times, uh, you've heard of tutorial hell probably, where you want to move forward, but you're just watching these things and copying them, and at a certain point you lose steam and then you just stop. And you don't retain anything really. You might retain a little bit here and there, but not enough to where you could do anything on your own in this field. Um, as I progress with music production, tutorials actually become more useful for me because I know where they fit in, and I know how to immediately apply what I'm taking in. So, that's the key. Obviously, is um, application. That's one half of this. The other half is the why of this information. And that's why a lot of textbooks and proper courses will just slowly ramp things up. They always keep things in the bounds of um, you always know what everything does, and there are very few branch offs from that. Just straight into the abyss of like you have no idea what all the different things you can do with this. So yeah, blank canvas syndrome is when you're just kind of dropped into the largest box, that is the box of all possibility, and you have no context of where anything goes. You have nothing to anchor on. And that's where a lot of tutorials kind of exist. Like, there's degrees to it. Some of them work really well for beginners, but a lot of them they'll be talking about concepts that you won't understand for a while, just subtly sprinkled in. And the person giving the tutorial doesn't even realize that. Um, so, tutorials aren't very good for teaching you things. What they are is a carcass for weathered scavengers. You're already out here. You know what you're about. You stumble upon a carcass. You say, let's have a look at that. What's it got on there? And you take what you need. You take what you understand, and what you don't understand, you just kind of leave that, or maybe you sack that for later. There are things to be um, things to be skinned and completely dismembered. A lot of the time, what you're skinning off is like preamble. You don't need that. That's completely useless. And a lot of waffling around trying to explain it to beginners, but they're not going to get it anyway. So there's a lot of fat in there before you get to the actual meat of it. Um, and I guess all my pausing is because, I want some kind of answer. It's like if tutorials aren't the thing to learn with, then what is? Uh, and it's really just a combination of all the mundane things that you don't want to do. You just kind of have to slowly build up. But back to the idea of like, yeah, slowly ramping up, and the idea of what box you're in. You have to make your own box. You have to set the bounds. You will. There are some things you'll be able to see. You'll be able to get a little bit of traction, and then say like, okay, I'm not gonna try and do anything too fancy in any one direction. I'm not gonna go very far. And you'll just have to set your own bounds as you go. But then once you master whatever box you put yourself in, you can then, just start expanding that out. And eventually you get to the point where you can now start harvesting these corpses known as the tutorial. That's when they'll actually be useful for you.